Okay, so this is Rijwi Ahmed, and I'm going to take you IELTS test. And are you ready for the test right now?
Yes, sir. I'm ready.
Thank you very much. Can you please introduce yourself?
Well, my name is Shamsu Nahar Shathi, and my friends, families, and colleagues call me Shathi, so you can call me Shathi.
Okay, so are you studying or having job?
No, currently I'm doing a job as a teacher.
Okay, can you please tell me about it in details?
Actually, I started my job from 2 years back as a teacher in my local school, educational institute. It's a primary school, non-government, and now I'm doing here as a junior lecturer, a junior teacher.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Why did you choose this job?
Well, frankly speaking, I live in a small town, so I don't find that much options to start my career as different kinds of IT sections or some companies related, like multinational companies. So the options are limited. So I decided to start my job as a teacher instead staying at home ideally.
Thank you very much. What type of things that you enjoy mostly in your job?
I'm sorry, sir. In general,
No, I'm saying about yourself. Like what things that you enjoy in your job?
in region at my region.
Yes, in your job, that what type of things that you enjoy in your job? Like you a teacher.
Oh well.
Yeah, you understand, I hope.
Well, as I just mentioned that I started my job because there was no option. It was only option for me, was suitable for me. But after doing some couple of months, I started enjoying the most important thing is spending time with the children. They are quite naive and sometimes they're quite naughty. It's always refreshing, entertaining. At the same time, I find it sometimes productive. Some materials which are always relating to our educational sides. These are the things actually gives me pleasure doing these jobs, and I'm actually just loving it.
Great. How did you feel when your first day in your workplace?
I'm sorry, sir, I didn't get your question.
All right.
How
How did you feel at your first day when you were at work? The
Oh,
first day.
well, first day was not that much pleasant because actually I was not made up my career as a teacher. So I was quite down. It was feeling like, what could I do in my job, and will I be able to be a good teacher or not? These are always making me nervous. And as it was not my choice, it was my options, which I had to choose it. At the same time, I was nervous and confusing, but it was actually giving me pleasure to introducing new people, and the children were quite happily faced running over there here. It was a feeling of mixed emotions where everything was there.
Great to know about this. You know that how do you enjoy when it's raining outside?
Raining outside, it's always enjoyable if I stay at home, but I'm outside and I don't have any umbrella and it started raining, then it's quite unpleasant because it always always stand me in a miserable situation because raining always in our country, in the context, the roads are quite sometimes muddy at the start. The water is stuck in one place. It's quite difficult to move one place to another because of heavy traffic conditions. It's miserable. But at weekends, whenever I stay at home and I wake up seeing the beautiful rainy morning, it's a good thing to have a cup of coffee, seeing rainy weather, and enjoy it with my family. It depends.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Shati. That is the end of your part one. So I'd like to move on to part two. And you'll be given a cue card in your WhatsApp group. Do you have pen and paper with you?
Yes, sir.
All right. So got your pen and paper, and then you'll be given a cue card. The cue card is uploaded in your group. So have a look on it. Find out you have 1 minute time to write down any note if you need. So
Yes, sir.
Yes. So your time is started now.
Sir, Q code is in the chat group or where
No,
actually?
WhatsApp,
I
WhatsApp,
didn't find.
WhatsApp.
Okay, sir.
All right. Can you start speaking, please?
Well, we live a country where actually has 6 seasons, and they're mostly actually 2 seasons are prominent. One is summer, and another one is winter. I would like to talk about winter because that actually I don't like at all because of the shivering weather and foggy morning. It's quite unpleasant to get up from the bed with a energetic feeling. It always gives me lack of energy to get up from bed or do something which more productively because I don't feel physically fit in cold and windy weather. This is the main reason to dislike this. And every year, actually, the winter comes in. Mostly in September to January. Sometimes this year, actually, it continues in February still. It always feels me very it, this feels me something shivering in my body, and my body actually doesn't take it in a positive way. I feel quite weak, and sometimes the cold fever always attacks me, and the whole winter season I actually stay in sick situation. These are the things I mostly dislike. And actually what I do, I mostly as much as possible, as more as possible, I put wear lots of clothes, scarves and socks in my hand, even in my legs, and I took all the necessary steps. And one thing, as in winter season, as I mostly stayed mostly suffered for cold and fever, that's why I take the necessary medicine, and sometimes hot drinking hot water. These are the things actually keeps me warm, but not to feel me much better to work in more enthusiastically. This.
All right. Thank you very much. That's wrap up your time. So I'd like to move on to part 3. And do you think that the weather affects how people feel?
Yes, always the weather affects people's mind. Like I wake up in the morning, very shiny on sunny day. The sky is quite clear. It gives me more energy to jump into my work. On the other hand, if you stay in a damp weather, like there is no sunshine or not even raining, it's I think it's sometimes. Make down ourselves. So weather always has an important uh, role to in our job life, in our personal life, uh, to actually give some energy and some kind of enthusiasm to our work and mind. Always mind is important to work productively. If our mind is very happy, pleasant, then I can work more productively.
Thank you very much. How easy or difficult to predict your weather in your country?
it's not that much difficult as my perspective because of advanced technology. It's a blessing. We can know the weather broadcast, the climate, what will be future, the evening, is it rain or not. Sometimes yes, it is unpredictable, because science is not always 110% accurate, especially on the weather and nature. It can happen anytime, but most of the time it's accurate to predict, and we can take the precautions which are actually necessary to step out. If I check the weather is quite warm and humid, then I will take some water or some lemon juice. On the other hand, if it's rain comes, then I will take an umbrella. I will take the necessary uh, steps what I need. It's actually depends on the technology, but sometimes if the unpredictable happens, there is nothing to do, because life goes like this. In future, what happens, there is not sure. So these are goes like this. Life goes.
Thank you very much. Do you think that technology make our life easier or more difficult?
Sorry, sir. Technology.
Do you think that technology made our life more easier or difficult?
Uh, First of all, in general sense, always technology uh, gives us lots more options, opportunities, makes life easier. Why I would say difficult? Like I'm a working lady. At the same time, I have to manage my home. Because of technology, I can store my weekends grocery shop. At the same time, I don't have to grind my spices to cook, which I can make it just within a few seconds by a grinder or by a mixer. And the stove machine, which is the another advancement of technology. Otherwise, I have to cook by wood, which is more time consuming or difficult. So life all by technology, we're getting so many options that always, if we utilize it, then it is much more convenient for our life to be make it more not only easier, it actually makes our life super easy and comfortable. But there is some negative sense, because technology sometimes makes difficult, because of the crime. Actually, through the technology, there are crime is increasing because of wrong using, actually negatively using it. If we deduct that, if we take it in a positive sense, it is a much more higher position that technology are taking us just to the moon, I think. Is over like that.
Okay, thank you very much. That is the end of your test one. So I'd like to give you feedback, but not now, after the test two. So you have 2 minutes break right now. So take
Sorry,
you to, yes.
sir, one more. So is it possible that one test I will take
Oh,
in a
you would
day?
like today take one test in a day. All right, it's fine, it's fine. So I'd like to give you feedback if you want to take one test in a day. First things that I was very pleased on your part one answer. When you're answering questions, you made a very great collocation of your words, and your lexical resource was fine. But one thing that I would like to say, that whenever you sound the sounds of pleasure, you made the sounds like pleasure, pleasure. No, not pleasure. The sound is pleasure. Mark this pronunciation, pleasure. There are a lot of words like pleasure, pleasure, measure, usually. You know, this type of sounds like usually, pleasure, measure, or sounds like S-U-R-E. If you find out the sounds like S-U-R-E, the sound will be ja, ja, not za. Okay. Let's move on to part two.
Yes.
Part two, I've found you struggling on the middle when you are thinking about the answer. So I'd be suggesting you, I'd be very happy to see you, that you're writing enough notes when you have 1 minute time to think about your question. Okay. So make sure that you are more comfortable when you're speaking. Do not make this sounds like in the middle of part two. Cue card questions. Apart from this sound, everything was fine. And let's move on to part three. Your explanation was fantastic. You explained a lot about the weather, about the culture, a lot of things, but I'd like to find out a mistake of your pronunciation. The word you mentioned, technology, the question I asked you on the last questions about technology, because before that you were talking about the weather. I was asking you about the questions about, do you think that weather can be predicted nowadays is quite easy or difficult? You said whatever you answer, yes, but you mentioned the word like technology. I'm afraid you said technology. Okay, the sound is not technology, the sound is technology. Okay, so make sure the sound will be technology. And one more word, like, is a very common word in our life, S-U-R-E. The sound is, we usually call that one like sure, but the sound is not sure. The sound is in British accent. If you like to speak British accent, the sound will be sure. Sure. If you like to speak the American accent, the sound will be sure. So I'm not pretty sure about that. The sound we like British or American in Bangladesh. But if you go for the sound anyway, make sure the sound will be sure or sure. Sure or sure. Not go for sure. No share. Sure or sure. And one more thing, that when you're making the sentence more complex, it's not a bad thing if you speak about the part 3. But the thing is, whenever you mention, like, try to mention apart from the sound, like which. You have mentioned the sound which so many times when you were talking about part 3. I think you're talking about technology. You're making the sounds like which, like every time you are making the complex sentence. I'm not discouraging you. I'm not saying that you cannot use the complex sentence. The making complex sentence will give you more confidence or more strength on your marks. But the problem is, too many complex sentence will put you pressure. Sometimes it will make you more difficult to explain the word. You know what I mean, actually. So try to avoid a lot of complex sentence. Make it more simple.
Yes, sir.
Make it more natural. Apart from these part 3 questions, everything was fine. So I'd like to mark you here for band score. I would like to go for band score 7 for you here. 7.5 in part
Actually,
1. Yep. I'd like to give you 7.
sorry to sorry to
No,
call my answer.
no. Lack of confidence will make you difficult. One thing that you have done very well on part 1. So you got 7.5 on part 1. Let's find out. Part 1, you got 7.5. Part 2, you got 6. Band score 6. So it wasn't expected. You made a lot of stuck on the middle. Part 3, you have got 6.5. So 6.5, 6, and 7.5. Because of your part 1, you have got a brilliant answer on part 1. So you're very confident when you speak about yourself. So fantastic. And I was asking you some questions about from your childhood memories or childhood backwards your mind. And you are very fantastic when you're talking about the past tense. Usually we don't see this type of things. So I'd like to prefer you to go for 7.5 on part 1. But part 2 and part 3, it was decent. So because of your part 1, so I'd like to go for overall band score 7. So it was fantastic. So keep going, and I hope that if you do well on part 2 and part 3 as part 1, so it will not be difficult for you to get more than 7.5 above or like 8 band score. So at the beginning time,
Sir, actually,
sure.
sir, actually, my especially in speaking, which is minimum 7.5 or highest in 8. So I'm working hard, but in pronunciation and sometimes speaking in front of anyone like a teacher or this kind of figure like you, it's quite difficult.
It's all about psychology, that you guys are thinking that we are making.
Yes, yes,
we are looking at you and thinking about the fault error that need to find out and write it straight away. Yeah, carry on.
So one important thing, I think it's not totally in psychological issue. It's another thing is a lack of practicing in our practical life. That's the more important thing.
Definitely.
If I'm used to in this language, I'm speaking just everywhere, that would be not that much difficult speaking fluently, or pronunciation would be better.
Absolutely, I do agree.
And just lack of practice. Yes, sir. That is the problem in for myself. But sir, my target is to get about 7.5 or 8. So I'm working hard and I'm looking forward, especially for you to get some feedback. Actually, I have taken some courses, some actually one courses in online, and another actually took another mock test, which is quite confusing because you know better in different teachers actually shows different paths of for us, especially in IELTS. There are so many experts, and they actually give some feedback which I find quite confusing. I don't know why it's different from one to another, but it's sometimes confusing. I don't know what to do.
Okay, let's go for my opinion. First thing that I do appreciate is students will get confidence when they speak. The one thing that if you are confident when you're speaking English, it doesn't matter that you're speaking English or French or Bangla. Whenever you're confident, it's quite a natural tone will come up from your voice when you are confident in speaking. But if you think too much, whenever you
The
speak anything,
antonym will be better.
absolutely. If you think so much, whenever you are speaking, if you think so much, that will make you stuck on the middle. So that's basically the thing is I do appreciate students to get good score, but I'm not pretty sure that whoever score you less. The reason behind of the different purpose, if you go for the British people, like point of view from British people, they usually don't go for the grammatical error because it's quite tough for the examiner or the people. If you express yourself properly, it will be quite tough for you to get the proper accent. One thing need to mention, whenever you speak like the non-native speaker, like Bangladeshi people, usually they speak sounds like, hello, I am going to tell you about myself. My name is Rijvi Ahmed, and I am studying in honors. That's the way in Bangladeshi people speak. But whenever you go for the expression like the British people, oh, well, great questions. I'm Rijvi Ahmed. So I'm going to tell you about myself today. So is it easy to find out the mistakes from this type of sounds? I don't think so.
Yes.
I'm gonna tell you about myself. So it is quite faster. Like I'm gonna tell you about the lot of words that makes it up. I'm gonna tell you about. I am going to tell you about. So it's quite easy to find out a mistake. Like I am going to tell you about. The structure will make you difficult. But whenever I squeeze the word together, like I'm gonna tell you about, the native speakers, they never speak like I am going to tell you about. They speak like I'm gonna tell you about. So, two things will make you more comfortable when you speak English. First thing is practice. I do appreciate that you're a teacher of a school. So it will be easier for you to teach your students to speak them up in English. So try to practice. You have exam time. So probably you'll sit exam for next month or after the month. Try to speak with your students in English. So that will make you more comfortable. Like I am staying in Bangladesh right now. So I've got a lot of students in my class. I speak in English. So that makes me more confident. That is one of the reasons. And the second reason is to having the listening habit. I'm again repeating the listening habit. The more you listen to the accent, like the native speaker, the more you listen, the more you'll come up with the word together. One thing that I'm from Bangladesh, I can speak in Bangladeshi accent. I can speak Bangla as well. But if you think that I make my sounds like the native people, the reason behind of it, because I've got a lot of listening habit. I spend the time in the United Kingdom. And one thing that I've spent a lot of times when I watch movies in podcast, in YouTube or any other channels. So the more you listen, the more you'll speak like them. You get my point. So two things, I do appreciate you to get more band score. Put yourself on listening habit and put yourself in practicing more and try to express the word as the native people. Because you know that four things, if you follow, you'll get a good score on IELTS. First is pronunciation. The second one is fluency. The third one is grammatical structure. And number four is lexical resource. But if you speak like this way, the non-native speaker, hello, I am going to take your IELTS test. The test is taken into 3 modules. One is part 1, so you have to give your personal opinion, personal things, personal statement. Number 2 will be given a cue card. Number 3, you will be given a speaking opinion. So if you're going to tell something like that in Bangladeshi accent or without any expression, one thing that it will be quite tough for you to get good score on IELTS. But if you want to express something, oh, all right. So great questions. I understood that what you mean. So number 1 is part 1. So you have to give your personal opinion. You know that way of talking. I'd like to suggest your video. I have done a YouTube video for students. So just have a look on this video, find out the way that I approach there. So I hope that that will be working out for you. So 3 things.
Sir, I have already seen it.
Yes. Carry on. Yeah. Sorry, what do you say? You have.
Sir, I said I have already seen your YouTube video, especially on speaking.
Oh, great. So one thing that number 1 is you have to put on listening habit. Number 2 is practicing so much before you exam at least. And number 3 is putting your word in expression. If you're putting your word on expression, IELTS is not like your knowledge test that you have to have an idea about the topic. Sometimes you may not have the ideas about the topic. So if you answer like, I'm afraid I don't have any idea about the topic. So I'm afraid I don't have any idea about the topic. You know, a lot of students, when they don't have any idea about the topic, they just squeezing the words. I'm going to, if I'm going to tell you about this, you know, this type of things will make the examiner that you're getting stuck. But examiner is not testing you your knowledge test. Examiner is testing your speaking skills. So if you say something that if you have no idea about the topic, if you say like, I'm afraid I don't have any idea about the topic. So it's not the things that you are not speaking well. You understand what I mean? So make sure that whatever you are saying, you need to be more confident and express yourself as like the native. So if you put 3 things together, like practicing English, listening habit, and express yourself like the native speaker, band score 9 can be possible as well. With these 4 things like pronunciation, fluency, lexical, and grammatical structure. Don't worry about the grammar. Got it?